Hey everybody and welcome to Sal Says What. I just finished up South Park The Stick of Truth the other day, and I really wanted to talk about it because, well, it's a game I've enjoyed, and we're changing the format a little bit, so why not? First off, the game is a lot of fun. If you like turn-based RPG styles of gaming, or you enjoy the last decade of South Park, this game is for you. Seriously, this is literally a fan service game with some RPG elements tacked on. And that's not a bad thing, by the way, it's just what it is, so. The story is essentially a season's worth of episode elements ripped up and then thrown into a fan, where you, as the douchebag new kid, must piece together little plot lines while battling and collecting your way through the main plot. That being fighting with or against Cartman's human faction and the mysterious elf faction in a town-wide game of pretend. It is a fantastic hook, and everything about it screams authentic. The characters are all consistent and a ton of fun to interact with. The designs, the weapons, and costumes work so well in the context of the story and the universe itself, and the story is interesting enough to hold your attention while not being so engaging that you will ignore side quests. This is a big fault of mine, where I'll get so wrapped up in this really engaging main storyline that I won't go off the beaten path and try out new and potentially interesting side stuff. Now, my version is for the Xbox 360, and I don't know about other incarnations, but mine had a few bugs with it. Nearly all the glitches I experienced were the direct result of my character that I created. It had some loading issues with inserting my custom character into cutscenes, which was a little distracting, but not too big of an issue overall. The biggest issue I had, technically speaking, was the lack of communication about how to play some of the mini-games in the overall game. I don't want to get into too many details and specifics, but there's a certain procedure you have to perform, and the final step of said procedure was a little confusing. I eventually figured it out thanks to messing with the controls and looking it up online, but it could have stood to have another bit of direction along with it. That minigame actually feeds directly into my only main issue with the overall game, and it's actually a criticism I have for the show as well. The game is crass. Its vulgarity is unmatched, and it's done clearly for the sheer purposes of vulgarity's sake. The obvious thread of logic that you follow reaches its foregone conclusions, leading you down a gross, sticky, narrow pathway from which there is little reprieve. But if you watch the show, you know that going in. This isn't something I find offensive, honestly, because it needs to have some kind of intent behind it in order to actually offend. It's clear Matt and Trey are amused by their own antics, and they seek to further push the envelope for the purposes of envelope pushing. There's little to no meaning behind all the over-the-top moments, which is a little disappointing. I mean, the duo clearly have the ability to articulate a point, and they do it so well. But rather than use that powerful, provocative imagery to illustrate an idea or challenge some convention, any message is lost because I just dodged my dad's balls and prevented an epic teabagging. I'm not saying that it isn't funny, I'm saying that even though I'll never say that phrase again, it feels like it's been done before. Now, you know, the game is out for nearly every console and PC, so I recommend jumping on this game while the iron is hot. The attacks are fun, the story is great, the mechanics work well. Now, apologies to women, as the character creation only allows for boy characters. This is actually really necessary for certain portions of the game's story to work, but it's a little disappointing that there wasn't any way to allow for it. Retails for about $60, but you know you can get that online for cheaper. Pick it up if you have like an hour or two to spare a day, you'll beat it in like a week. So tell me, what's your favorite episode of South Park? Let me know in the comments and I'll share mine. Thanks for watching, everybody, and swing by littlehousesonline.com if you got a minute. Thanks a lot.